How y'all been? Yeah, YouTube's coming online. Don't worry. Somebody says drink water. Yeah, nah, we gonna have some water in rotation. Don't y'all worry. We gonna stay hydrated. I think they're saying I still haven't gotten the official word. Some I see the common consensus is that Big Scar may have died due to an overdose. Yeah, I know. The only thing you ever hear nothing about me is the Henny. You know what I mean? Unless they find a way to put the Fenty in the Henny. You know what I mean? It's gonna be like, damn, that nigga act just drank too much. Anyway, yo, I figured out a few things. I started connecting dots last night. I got off stream, started connecting dots, started making sense to me. And it's crystallizing exactly what I've been saying. So we'll start with the YSL stuff. It's crystallizing. People are saying it's fake perks. You sure that's what it was? I guess if you're not Kodak Black, if the perk is fake, might not want to do it. I ain't gonna lie. I got one of my uncles lived till really old, and he drank every day white rum. Rand nephew, if you know what I'm talking about. Okay, all right. YouTube's getting online. We're gonna start hitting a few things fast. So, I started connecting the dots because here's a question everybody has right now, right? Why is everybody in the YSL case getting a easy let out of jail free card, right? Why is everybody not going to jail? Why is everybody being given these sweet plea deals? Now, I think everybody's been like coming to the same conclusion. They clearly want Thug. There's a few other people they want as well, right? They want some of the dudes who did the murder. By the way, none of the guys who did murders have been let out. The people who have been let out, they conspired to do murders. At most, maybe they were in a shooting incident, but they never hit nobody. And usually they would have served time for that before. So, they already served time for that. So basically, they have it on the indictment, but, you're not going to give them time for it again. That's almost listed as a factor. They just get charged with being in a criminal street gang. So they give them these pleas that people are wondering how the hell, right? For example, Antonio Sumlin yesterday, and I know we hopping right into it. I'm sorry. So Antonio Sumlin yesterday, we brought up his situation. I seen a few people report this incorrectly. Antonio Sumlin never attempted to kill no one. There was conversations about him killing people. The second attempt that was gonna be on YFN-Lucci's life, he didn't go through with. Now, granted, if he had really gone through with it, I think they wouldn't give him this plea, right? What they're doing that. Why are they giving him a plea? That's what you're probably asking. Okay, but still, like he was talking about murdering someone. Well, they have lost certain significant info on Young Thug, so they need to get the other people who are equivalent to that info. They lost the phone, so everybody he was talking in the group chats to, as long as them niggas didn't kill nobody, they're gonna offer pleas. You know why? You're gonna be able to testify to what Young Thug was saying or ordering in those group chats. You get what I mean? So again, they don't have the phone no more. So essentially, they're like, all right, since we don't have the phone, what's the next best thing? Let's find the people he was telling these things to in text messages, and if they didn't kill nobody, they didn't shoot nobody, we'll give them a plea. And if it comes down to it, they'll get on the stand and they'll have to testify saying, yes, Young Thug did say exactly what would have been on the phone. So it's basically swapping out evidence. I think yesterday pretty much also crystallized for anybody who was thinking that this is a YSL scheme and YSL is smarter than the system. That's definitely not the case. It's in no way, shape, or form. It would be impossible for this to be Young Thug telling all these niggas to plea, because now we're seeing people who are pleading out that if they are called to testify, they would have to say, Young Thug ordered me to kill someone, or I had to get the permission according to the gang structure from Young Thug to kill someone. Also, this also makes it heightens it, especially, I know in federal court it would. When there's monetary, compensation to be had from doing crimes, it further paints somebody as Young Thug even more dangerous, right? He's a superstar rapper with a lot of resources. Money's not a problem. If he could pay his gang members to try to get rid of somebody or kill somebody, he has almost damn near unlimited power, okay? So that's kind of what they're folding up into. They're realizing that they gotta, it's probably, like, I'm looking at all the defendants that's still there. I've marked about 5 of them they want to get. 2 of them, I would believe, quote unquote, 2 or 3 of them are in like leadership positions. The other, actually it's about 6 to 7, but I'm wondering what's going to happen with 2 of them because I thought they did time for what they got charged with before. So about 2 or 3 leadership positions, including Thug, and then the other 4 are straight up shooters, which means they killed people already, or they have shot people already, which means I don't believe the district attorney is going to give them a slap on the wrist with, hey, here's 20 years in probation. I think they're going to do time. You kill somebody, you're going to do time. So what it got me back to thinking, right? If we look at everybody who got a plea, it's 6 people so far, right? Could we figure out why everybody got a plea? And the answer is yes. And by the way, everybody has gotten a plea, not because the case is weak. That's what we keep hearing from everybody. Oh, the case was weak. No. They want to get, like, again, I have to give you a narrative of why Young Thug is in jail and why YFN-Lucci is in jail. Okay? According to what is now popularly known by the police and the DA, there was a YFN-YSL war that erupted most significantly after the death of one individual, Donovan Nut Thomas. The reason why they're cutting certain type of deals for people, from my understanding, is because, and the reason why they're focusing on that one murder, and that's why they're trying to lock in on Thug, they believe after that guy got killed, in the next, 40 days, there was 30 drive-by shootings every night. Every night niggas are doing drive-by shootings. So essentially, if they're attacking the problem of crime that they're saying has been plaguing Cleveland Avenue, or Bleveland, if you want to call it like that, YSL and YFN kicked off, and it pretty much got started, at least in a mass crazy rate. They believe at least 37 or some instances of retaliation all over Donovan Nut Thomas dying. Now, if you understand that, you will understand the rest of the case, because they want everybody who was involved with his death to be under the jail. They believe Young Thug ordered it. They believe that Yak Gotti was in the car. They believe there was 2 other individuals in the car as well. And they believe that I think SB, we've talked about him a couple times, he pulled the fatal trigger. One of the guys who they have as quote unquote snitches, Lil Woody, he apparently has given some significant information to the government that basically he pointed out everybody in the car, which matched with the info that they got from some cell tower shit. And he says that he heard them basically admit to it. So very important for that, okay? I'm going to tell you how they connect Thug and why they're giving out some of these pleas. But if you're wondering, why are they just, because some people no, they don't got no case on these other guys. No, they don't give a fuck about these other guys. These other guys ain't the ones who have started this gang beef. It's Thug and a few people who did the killing. So as long as you remember that, you will understand why pleas are getting cut. Now, the guy yesterday, Antonio Sumlin, it's very easy. It's very easy to understand why he has been given a plea. Granted, let's go to his name again. Sumlin. His name is Obama. YSL Obama, man. Jesus Christ. Yo, take hood niggas to just fucking ruin everything. If you look at all the facts that they claim that, he's involved in this case, the biggest thing is burglary in the second degree, which means he just stole something from an empty container. I know the murder is always going to stick out, but I'm going to go back to where the murders were listed, right? Okay. Also, he was in the group chat where the phone don't count no more. So he was in the group chat. Let me take the alerts off for a second. Thank y'all for all the subs. Remember, this is from a group chat. He's in this group chat, right? Where Young Thug says, you ain't beat him up or shot him yet? Y'all niggas getting soft. Now, they don't have the group chat anymore because maybe they have it from somebody else's phone, but they can't get access to it from Young Thug's phone, right? They can't use it to say, hey, we have Exhibit 29. We did a search warrant and we got Jeffrey Williams' phone, and this was a group chat among these other people. They can't use it because the judge tossed it out. So they need that conversation to kind of show that Young Thug is the big shot caller who's ordering deaths, right? That's also why you want him, Sumlin, to be on your side. So you give him a plea. If Young Thug brings this to trial, right, he's going to show up on stand and say, yeah, Young Thug used to tell us all the time. Why y'all ain't kill him yet? When you going to kill him? Shoot this nigga up. So he's going to be a substitute for the cell phone, right? And to some degree, you might say it's just as good as a cell phone or even better because now this is an actual human. You know, sometimes niggas might be like, oh, y'all ain't beat him up or shot him yet. Oh, I was joking, or that was some rap lyrics or some other shit, you know, trying to like make it hazy. You get the actual guy who was being talked to. He'd be like, no. Thug always talked like that. He was asking if we shot the nigga, killed him yet, right? So that's one of the reasons he's getting a plea. But I'm going to show you why they also gave him a plea. So he's charged with conspiracy to commit murder. He ain't do it. So, like, again, they talked about, remember, conspiracy to commit murder means y'all talked about killing someone, and there was probably an actionable way that it could have gotten done. You know what I mean? Granted, it didn't get done. Actually, there wasn't even an attempt, right? The dude was just in jail trying to figure out how he could get the permission of one Jeffrey Williams, a.k.a. King Slime. He wanted his permission to try to kill YFN-Lucci. So he didn't do it. Also, the YSL geniuses said all this shit on a jail phone. Perfect. You know what I mean? These guys is using their PIN number down the county jail. Yo, could y'all give me Thug's permission to come kill this pussy nigga, YFN-Lucci? Yeah, so anyway, they got all that type of stuff. And apparently, the nigga just calls Thug slime, which everybody knows. Anyway, whatever. So he ain't do nothing here. So this is another reason why he's getting, you know, this favorable plea. So it's a conspiracy to commit murder, but he didn't do it. He didn't follow through with it. There wasn't even an attempt from what we know. Then there's another conspiracy to commit murder, but again, he didn't do it. Again, right? So, you know, they talked about murdering people, but keep in mind, these are things that are going through the jail phone. By the way, these guys are really nice on the jail phone, man. They just gave the cops the evidence, right? They talked about, you know, kind of handling somebody who ain't put like $20 on this dude's books, but he ain't do nothing. So the conspiracy to commit murders that you're seeing, he didn't continue through with it. Now, granted, if he kills somebody, I guarantee he's not getting probation. Guarantee he's not. Right? So yeah, essentially it's conspiracy to commit a crime. He didn't do it. He didn't even attempt to do it. You know, attempt would be like, okay, you try to stab him and try to kill him, but he didn't die. That would be attempted murder. He didn't even try that, right? So it was just talking about doing it, which that in itself is called conspiracy. All right. Okay. The only reason I try to tell y'all that is because they're plugging everybody in. I just realized, and by the way, I'm going to get this guy on a podcast, so you guys got to make sure to watch out for Off the Record. This guy knows a lot of shit that we got to really dive into. We got to dive into later, but let's say Lil Duke. Why is Lil, like, you know, we assume when we hear Gunna or Lil Duke getting a plea, we're like, oh, cops just got a weak case. I just identified exactly why it's not a weak case. It's just to further corner Thug. So here's the thing. Remember I told you about that one murder? When Donovan Nutt Thomas got killed, number one, Thug rented the car. They ruled in court that the Hertz records of Thug renting a car will not be thrown out. So we know Thug rented the car. Okay? This guy, Woody, He says he met up with the niggas after the murder, and he had to pick up some of the niggas after the murder, and they admitted to him that they killed him. So look how the cops are cornering Thug for this one murder. Now, how does Thug come into this? And how does Duke come into this? Apparently, Duke was locked up, and Lil Duke called Young Thug from jail during that time while he was supposedly in the car. So because I guess the story goes, Thug is in this car, they ride by someplace, they see the nigga. So Thug is in the car, they see the nigga, they basically go somewhere, Thug hops out, tell him they could take the car. They take the car, they go murder the nigga. You know what I mean? The reason why Duke comes in, Duke calls Thug from jail on some random shit. Thug happens to be in the car. When Thug happens to be in the car, remember, they know exactly. The police know exactly when Duke calls because he's locked up. They use GPS to place Thug in the car, at least right before the murder happened. Apparently, he wasn't in there because he got out the car and let them do it. But what's important now is that for them to kind of show that Young Thug probably knew something happened and Young Thug was in the vicinity of the murder before he hopped out, and it was Young Thug's car that he gave, and Young Thug's the leader, they're going to call Lil Duke to the stand to say, did you call Young Thug from jail at this time? I'll actually, this would be a better explanation. George Chidi, I got to get this guy on my podcast because, by the way, I spent a lot of time yesterday trying to figure out how because some of these info he's saying is not in regular open court. Like, so clearly he's talking to DAs and detectives. He's really tapped in way more than, you know what I mean? He's Atlanta-based. All right, listen to this whole thing.
Gunner coming out and Thug is still inside.
That is not a question for me because I am not in the street.
Basically, he said he's not going to comment if Gunner's a snitch.
There are, like, and the idea
There's street codes. There's codes to the street.
There are, like, 510,000 people who live in Atlanta, and maybe 5,000 of them for this question would be relevant to a very, very small number of people who are gang adjacent, if you know what I mean. Yeah. For everyone else, like, I don't want to dignify this question about whether or not somebody is a snitch, because it suggests that that is relevant or important or some sort of negative mark. I'm looking at this from the perspective of the 25 to 50 people who have died in the process of this gang war. Like, this is not an abstraction, and it's not music. I don't care about the music.
All right, let me skip to the relevant part. Here we go.
The search was supposedly illegal.
Okay, let me skip to the relevant part.
Or terroristic threats.
Here we go. Here's the story. This is interesting.
Donovan Nut Thomas out. And first, the phone that they recovered from his house, phones, I think, were deemed inadmissible in court. In the hearing on Thursday, the judge threw the phones out. Now, here's really what happened. The investigation in earnest around all of the things that ultimately led to this Rico began with the murder of a Donovan Nut Thomas, who was killed in front of a barbershop in Castleberry Hill. He was one of the managers for Rich Homie Quan. Thug and Quan were having industry argument that turned into a bunch of other stuff, and I'm abbreviating here. Thomas gets killed, and then there's a series of drive-by shootings, like one or two every night for months. The police.
So, and by the way, I don't know if he's gonna say. Apparently, I think there's like 3 more bodies that are just retaliation killings. There's a bunch of people who get shot. So again, this is why the police is like, their whole goal is, rather than just investigate the retaliation, let's go to the source. And then anybody who did some retaliation shit, they're going to do time too. But the person we're going to give the most time to is the person who did the initial shit to start this whole gang war, which Young Thug is in that. Here we go.
Almost immediate, because they'd been watching the dispute unfold, because there had been shootings before Donovan Thomas. they already liked Thug for the crime. They thought either he did it or he was involved. Some months later, Thug gets into an argument with somebody at the mall, like a security guard.
Remember that?
And a warrant is sworn out for his arrest.
By the way, he's going to say that. I know y'all want to just play it through and through. Thug gets a terroristic threat arrest warrant. Now, a terroristic threat could be like, yo, I'm going to come back and shoot this whole spot up. That would be a terroristic threat. Granted, like, a lot of times they don't arrest people for shit like that. But here's the thing. Atlanta police, they wanted any reason to go try to get at Thug over. They've been really thinking he did this murder since the nut thing. So they think he did the nut murder, had no evidence on him. So anytime they found any reason to go lock him up, they would, hoping they would find some evidence to later convict him of this nut shit. You feel me? Sorry for the nut usage.
Or terroristic threats or something. And on that warrant, they went to his house and they opened the door and they arrested him and then they searched the house.
They shouldn't search the house.
And a judge ruled that all of the things that they took from the house were inadmissible because they didn't have a search warrant. They had an arrest warrant. They had an arrest warrant, but they behaved like they had a search warrant. The entire arrest warrant, frankly, was a predicate, an excuse for them to go and search Young Thug's house because they believed that there was evidence there that they could use to tie him to the Thomas murder.
So they messed up.
So just understanding correctly, when you have an arrest warrant, you can come in and pick up the person and take them out. When you have a search warrant, you can come in, rummage through the house, and take anything out of the house that can be used
something
in
that's
the case.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you've got a search warrant, it's, basically,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Only they can't use the phone. Now, here's why the phone is significant. Martinez Arnold, who took a plea yesterday or Friday.
That's Lil Duke.
Lil Duke. There was a fight and a robbery at Club Crucial in November of 2014 that set off a lot of other things. Martinez Arnold was in jail because of that fight. Martinez Arnold called somebody in the car the day of the shooting of Donovan Thomas. I know this because it's in a warrant, like a 2016 warrant. Martinez Arnold called from jail, from a recorded phone line, somebody who had their cell phone in the car that was used as in the drive-by.
Right.
From that, they were able to look at the other phone and pick up off of all the cell phone towers.
Right. Who was aware?
Like who was where, whose other phones were in the car, where was the car, and then they could start picking it up off of license plate readers all over town and a camera where you could see the license plate, which you could lead to the,
Not
you see
smart
where
at
I'm
all.
going.
Not smart at all.
So my understanding is Martinez Arnold also called Young Thug. And I don't know when. I don't know if it was before or after or what. Having the phone in evidence allows you to demonstrate that. So let me just say, the day after this hearing, Martinez Arnold gets a deal, and a really light one, I might add.
I have to pause it here. So what he's describing, he's saying that if Young Thug phone was not thrown out by the judge, the police could use evidence from that phone to match to the jail call from Lil Duke, and also Lil Duke calling another nigga in the car that was used to kill Nut, and try to tie it in that not only Young Thug rented the car, but Young Thug was around these niggas when they took the car to go kill Nut, right? But Young Thug phone got thrown out. What he's going to say now is, as soon as Young Thug phone got thrown out, they gave Lil Duke a plea. Why did they give him a plea? It's not because the case is weak. They gave him a plea that if they need what's going to substitute for that phone evidence is they're going to bring him on the stand and say, did you call Young Thug on this particular day? Hey, we're going to refresh your memory. Did you call on a jail phone? He's going to have to say yes.
Dad, no time, no additional time served, but he must take the stand.
Oh, Duke?
Yeah.
So Duke has to testify.
Well, that's a condition of his deal.
So then Duke would be a snitch.
So I'm not saying
If he
that.
tells the truth.
Like
I mean,
this
great.
thing,
Again,
this
no.
thing.
This is why
Do
I
not ask me about who
No.
is or is not a switch.
Okay.
I
understand. You're
the
not.
snitch
You're not.
thing is a street thing.
It's a street thing.
Cooperation is the word. Are they going to cooperate with the side?
We also know that cooperation means you're snitching. Okay, so from the street,
No, it doesn't. Because cooperation may also mean that you're admitting to your own faults and your own things.
But here's what
without talking about anyone.
No, cooperation don't mean you're admitting to your own fault. That's not what it means. Cooperation means you're cooperating with the government for the completion of the case.
But here's what: if they put Duke on the stand and they say Duke,
That's not funny though.
did you call Thug?
He can say, yeah, that's the dude that
He can
runs
say
my
yes.
label.
He can say no. He can say I plead the.
Why everybody think that people gonna do a Kelsey? Oh, nah. Kelsey has immunity. She can't go to jail regardless. Right? And also, they don't know anything that's factual. They know they have proof that Duke made the call. He can't get on the stand and lie. And if he lies, it's not only perjury, as according to his plea agreement would be out the window. So you just fuck yourself. You might as well just took it to trial if you're going. If anybody's strategy is to, I'm gonna wait till I get called to the stand and lie, you might as well just literally took it to trial.
The fifth,
Can
whatever.
you not just say
whatever.
that's the dude that runs
So
my
here's the
label?
thing. Like,
He
I mean,
he
yeah,
could lie,
he
but
could
that,
say,
but
I'm
that
pleading
could.
the fifth.
That's the label though. I can't just say this is music industry just because.
Somebody said, but Kelsey didn't have full immunity. Okay, first of all, the prosecutors Kelsey has 0 charges, right? 0 charges. By the way, she was also pleading the fifth to speak about anything that had to nearly do with her. She had use immunity, which means anything she said up there, as long as it couldn't be proven to be a lie. Keep in mind this whole situation with Tory, Megan, Kelsey is all he said, she said. They can't find a DNA of any motherfucker on anywhere, right? This is different than Duke. Duke has charges. Duke is documented. You use the jail phone to call. Nigga, they know exactly who you called. They know who that phone was registered to. They just need you to say in court that you did. You get what I mean? They just need to say that you did. So again, y'all can't be comparing Kelsey to these guys who have charges. Kelsey didn't have no charge. And by the way, if Kelsey was also accused, there's no way Kelsey would have testified. No way. If Kelsey was also charged, 0 chance unless she got full immunity, which full immunity would have made sure that no matter what she says, she can't get charged from that night. And also, by the way, they kind of in a way gave her full immunity, but they didn't really because they said it on the record, but then they said it's only on transactional. Anyway, or use immunity, actually. Here we go.
Because of the timeline?
So, among other things, people like Gunna, for example, had to say YSL is both a street gang and a music label.
Mm-hmm.
And that elocution is important. Let me say both Gunna and Martinez Arnold would have to take the stand if called. They could try to plead the fifth, but if they are offered immunity, then they're no longer subject to incrimination and they're compelled to testify.
You can't plead the fifth if you're offered immunity?
Correct.
It's like against the rules.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So,
Oh, that's bad.
So to be clear, I think that this elocution, this having to stand up in court and say, yes, YSL is a gang. Yes, this gang did crimes that I am aware of. This thing. No, you can't actually use the elocution in court.
Okay.
Not a criminal court. But you absolutely can use it in a civil court. And the thing I've been watching, and bearing in mind, like, I'm as much a business reporter as a crime reporter, is the amount of, like, legal liability that...
Okay. Basically, he goes into saying that the record label could be sued as well because Gunna's, while they can't use Gunna saying yes, ma'am, and saying that, hey, blah, 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 YSL is a gang, can't use the plea, right? They would have to call Gunna to the stand to say in his own words because the plea is just a plea. You can't be like, well, he pled this. So that's the reason why you have the plea, but him saying yes, ma'am, a bunch can't be used in court against that plea. So the plea, the audio from the plea cannot be used in court against Jeffrey. They have to call him back to the stand for him to say it again. You get what I mean? But in a civil case, so say if somebody wanted to sue, I don't know, 300 Entertainment for literally, you know what I mean, being a gang and say someone got hurt in one of these shootings and they want to sue 300 Entertainment, which is a label part of it, they could definitely use the plea audio in a civil suit. In a civil suit, they could use that audio of Gunna saying YSL is a gang and a label, right? But in a criminal case versus Thug, Gunna got to bring his ass back up there, and then he got to answer the questions on a hot mic right in front of Thug. They can't just play a clip. Because if they could have played a clip, nobody would ever sit in front of the nigga they got to snitch on and point him out, right? It'd be like, yo, niggas, use a clip that I gave y'all. It don't work like that. You got to bring the nigga up. I mean, these niggas have the right to face, you know what I mean, face their accusing all the people who have been the witnesses against them. You feel me? All right. Okay, cool. So, I hope you guys are kind of understand this a little bit. They're cutting. I know y'all think they're giving out pleas to everybody, but they're cutting strategic pleas. So the plea to Lil Duke guarantees that they have somebody to say that Young Thug was in or around the vicinity of the car that was registered to him or actually rented by him, but then given to someone else that eventually allegedly did the murder of Donovan Nutt. They have the Hertz like, you know, records that say he rented it. They have Woody, who says after the murder, he heard them basically say, oh yeah, we did it. And I believe Woody also says that somebody called Thug right then too to basically tell him, yo, we killed that nigga. So, you know, again, they're cornering Thug for that one murder, but that's only one situation, right? So they want Young Thug to be culpable of that murder. Bingo. So that's number one. The second one for this Antonio Sumlin one, this is what I'm saying, it's all strategic. They want Young Thug to be culpable of conspiracy of murder. Now, granted, they gave that nigga 15 years probation, but they think the person who's more culpable in a conspiracy isn't the guy who's asking for permission or who's going to carry out the hit. It's the guy who's making the call and who would actually do the payment. That's Young Thug. So that's why they gave Antonio Sumlin that fucking deal that he could, you know, tell on Thug to let people know, hey, he's the one ordering murders. There's a few other, like, you know, attempted murders or murders that they're going to put on Thug. And, yeah, essentially, they're not cutting all these deals because they have a weak case. They're cutting all these deals because if they could give Thug at least 30, they'll be happy. Okay? Colin Noir, thank you for the donation on YouTube. He said, yo, man, Ak, you got me watching all these lives like a fucking crackhead. Man, this shit is, it's kind of unbelievable, right? All right, anyway, for everybody who is here, we are on standby for